We've all had those nights, right? Tossing and turning, just desperate for a good night's sleep. But what if the answer wasn't a pill, but something, well, something totally different? Today we're going to dive into a really fascinating case study that looks at a pretty radical new way to tackle this universal problem, and it's all based on a 2025 report from the International Journal of Health Sciences.
It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, doesn't it? But this is the very real question that researchers are starting to ask. So stick with me and let's unpack the science of using light to actually treat sleep disorders.
Okay, so before we get to the really cool stuff, we need to understand the challenge itself. Why is getting a good night's rest so ridiculously hard for so many of us?
Well, the thing about poor sleep is that it's not just one problem. It's more like this tangled web of issues, all connected together. I mean, think about it. It can be psychological, all the stress and anxiety from our daily lives. It can be physiological, like chronic pain or hormones going haywire. Heck, even your bedroom environment, a noisy street, the temperature, the light from your phone, it all plays a huge part. And that complexity is exactly why there's no magic bullet solution.
So, with that messy picture in mind, it's no wonder scientists are looking for totally new ways to tackle this. And that brings us to something on the real cutting edge, a field called photobiomodulation.
Photobiomodulation. I know, it's a mouthful. Let's just call it PBM. So what is it? Put simply, it's using light as a form of therapy. We're talking about very specific kinds of light, like red or infrared light, to basically give your body's cells a little kickstart, helping them work better and create positive changes, like calming inflammation or helping balance hormones.
Now, to really see this in action, the report we're looking at zooms in on one single, really powerful story. It's the case of a patient whose sleep problems were all tangled up with the complex symptoms of Parkinson's disease. I mean, talk about a tough case, which of course makes her the perfect person to see if this innovative therapy could actually work.
So let's meet this patient and take a closer look at her journey with this pretty groundbreaking treatment. Okay, so our patient is a 57-year-old woman, and she's not just dealing with the typical Parkinson's tremors. She's also got intense physical pain, she's exhausted all the time, and on top of all of that, she just cannot sleep. You can imagine how much this was wrecking her quality of life.
Now, you'd think the treatment would be really complex, but get this, it was incredibly simple and totally non-invasive. They used a low-power infrared laser inside her mouth, aimed at the roof of her mouth. That's it. Each session was only 20 minutes long, and she did this twice a week for 3 months.
So how did they know if it was working? Well, they kept it really simple. They just had her rate her own sleep quality on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 is, an absolutely terrible night, and 10 is a perfect, totally refreshing sleep. It's a really direct way to see how she felt things were going.
And the results? Honestly, they were pretty jaw-dropping. Before she started, she rated her sleep as a 4 out of 10. After the 3 months of therapy, that score doubled to an 8. But here's the kicker. A full month after she stopped the treatment, her sleep quality went up again, all the way to a 9 out of 10. This wasn't some temporary fix. It seems like it created a real, lasting benefit.
This brings us to the million-dollar question, right? How on earth could a little beam of light inside your mouth have such a massive impact on something as complicated as sleep? What's the connection here? Well, the science is still pretty new, but researchers have some really solid theories. They think PBM is kind of a multitasker. The light energy seems to help get key hormones like melatonin, that's our natural sleep signal, back on track. At the same time, it might be reducing inflammation, easing anxiety, and even helping to regulate stress. It's like this combo effect that helps reset our body's natural sleep-wake cycle. Now, as amazing as all this sounds, we've got to pump the brakes just a little and put on our scientist hats. Because with any new discovery, there's the exciting part, and then there's the part that says, hold on a second.
And here we see that classic scientific balancing act. The promise is huge, right? We're talking about a non-invasive therapy that gave a lasting, significant improvement to a patient with a really complex condition. But the caution is just as important. We have to remember this was a study of one person, just one. And without a control group, we can't completely rule out the placebo effect.
And you know what? The researchers themselves are the first ones to say this. They wrote right there in their conclusion that while this looks really promising, much bigger, controlled, randomized studies are absolutely essential to confirm what they saw. And you got to respect that. That's just how good, careful science works, one step at a time.
And so that leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. Yes, it's still very early, but this single case study opens a fascinating little window into the future of sleep medicine.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the solution to one of our oldest, most stubborn problems has been hiding in plain sight all along, not in a bottle, but in a simple beam of light.